Page number 117. Handbook for Mankind ท่านพุทธทาสภิกขุบุรุดาสภิกขุ The criteria for recognizing these four levels in the supramundane plane are the various mental impurities which are in the course of being eliminated. The Buddha divided the impurities in this group into 10 kinds. He called them the fetters. These 10 fetters by man and all beings to the world, keeping people in the mundane plane. If a person starts to cut through these fetters and break loose, its mind gradually and progressively becomes free from the worldly condition. And when he managed to cut through them completely, his mind becomes completely free, transcends the world from good, and comes to dwell permanently in the supramundane plane. Of course, 10 kinds of subtle mental impurities that bind us. The first is the self-belief, Sakkaya Yatitti. The view that the body and mind is myself. It is a misunderstanding or misconception based on clinging to the idea I am, because the average person is not aware of the true nature of the body and the mind. He unthinkingly regards these two as his self. He assumes that body and mind is his self, his I. This instinctive idea that there is an I and a mind is so firmly ingrained that normally nobody ever doubts their existence. True, the self-instinct is what makes life possible, being the basis of self-preservation, the search for food and propagation of the species. But in this case, what we are calling the self-belief is to be taken only in its most basic sense as the root cause of selfishness. This is considered to be the first of the fetters, to be done away with before anything else. The second factor is doubt. The cause of wavering and uncertainty. Most importantly, it is doubt concerning the practice leading to liberation from suffering, doubt due to inadequate knowledge, doubt as to what this subject is really all about, doubt as to whether this practice for breaking free from suffering is really the right thing for one. Whether one is really capable of carrying it through, whether it is really better than other things, whether or not it really does any good, whether the Buddha really did attain enlightenment, whether he really did achieve liberation from suffering, whether the Buddha's teaching and the practice and the practical method based on his teaching really do lead to liberation from suffering. Whether it is really possible for a bhikkhu in the Sangha to attain liberation from suffering. The root cause of hesitancy is ignorance. A fish that has always lived in the water, it told about life on dry land, would be sure to believe none of it, or at most only half of it. We, immersed as we are in sensuality, are as habituated to sensuality as is the fish to water, so that when someone speaks of transcending sensuality, transcending the world, we can't understand. And that which we can understand to some extent, we are hesitant about it. It is natural for us to think on this lower level. To think on the high level produces a new picture. The conflict between the high level thinking and the low level thinking is what constitutes wavering. If mental energy is insufficient, the lower level thinking will triumph. Doubt and wavering with regard to goodness is something chronically present in everyone right from birth, in the person who has been brought up wrongly. It may be a very common complaint. We have to introspect and note the bad consequences of this wavering, which is presented to such an extent in our work and our everyday living that we become skeptical about goodness, truth, and liberation from suffering. The third Fetter is superstition or attachment to rules and rituals based on a misunderstanding of their real purpose. Essentially, it is a misguided attachment to certain things one does. Usually, it has to do with doctrines and ceremonies. An example of this is belief in the magic or magical practices, which is brutally judged superstition and occurs even among Buddhists practice based on the belief that it will produce magical abilities, psychic powers, and protective forces is founded on false hopes and is irrational. Irrational. Another example is the undertaking of moral precepts, 5 precepts, etc. ศีลห้า 5 precepts, 5 precepts, ศีลห้า or virtuous conduct. The real purpose of this is to eliminate mental defilements. But if we believe that it will give rise to miraculous powers, which we shall then be able to use to eradicate the defilements, we are in fact grasping and clinging, and so defeating our original purpose. The practice is quite correct in itself, but if we misunderstand it and cling to it irrationally, regarding it as something magical and secret, then it becomes pure superstition, even taking upon oneself the moral precepts, if done in the belief that it will lead to rebirth as a celestial being, is without a doubt an example of attachment to rules and rituals, and goes contrary to Buddhist aims. Such beliefs contaminate otherwise virtuous conduct. The objective of the Buddhist discipline is the elimination of the cruder refinements of body and speech as a foundation for the progressive development of concentration and insight. The objective is not rebirth in heaven. To have such false motives is to soil and contaminate one's own morals with grasping and clinging with false ideas. Charity or adherence to moral precepts or meditation practice, if carried out with a mistaken idea of their true objective, inevitably will stray from the Buddhist path. Do understand that even Buddhist practice associated with misunderstanding, because craving has come in and taken over, bringing the expectation of mystical powers becomes superstition instead. This applies to even the very small and trivial, 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 trivial things that most of us like to indulge in, such as ritual, chanting, merit making, and the like. The ceremony of placing rice and trays of sweets before the Buddha's image is performed in the belief that it is an offering to the Buddha's spirit, and that he will be able to partake of it, is 100% certain to produce effects precisely the opposite of what the devotee is hoping for. Behavior that defeats its own true purpose is generally quite common in Buddhist circles. It is fully and irrational and results in practices originally worthwhile and attractive becoming contaminated with the stupidity and ignorance of people performing them. This is what is meant. This is what is meant by superstition, as we can see this definement as until page number 120. Have a wonderful night, all night, all the time. Bye bye. Chúc đi nước ca. We just say, okay, today. We just say, Matane. Genki desu ka? Somebody wrong. Bye bye.